Welcome back to an extra video this week, and I would like to talk about wheels a little bit. It's sort of like an addendum to the first video, which was how to put an ellipse into a square. Somebody asked me how I would draw a wheel and make sure that it's visible that it has a bevel. And what is meant by that is if you have a wheel, what I'm drawing right here. So let's take a look like this. And then this would be the rim. Oh, I moved a little bit here. All right. So this would be the rim. And then this would be the wheel around it, or the rubber part, whatever you want to call it. But the bevel part is, if you look from this point of view, it looks a little bit like this, right? It's not flat. So it's when I draw it in 3D. Let me move this a little bit. So if I would draw the wheel here again, close it off, and then this would be the rim part, close it off again. This I want to make sure that it's understandable that this area here, it is not flat. And how am I going to do that? Well, it depends. Usually we do that with shading, either with cross-hatching or with marker. Let me start and show you first the version where we don't do shading. So I'll do the same sort of view, just like this. Okay. One, then the inside, and then we have here. Okay, let me go over this just with a very soft touch. Just like this. Then also on the inside. All right, I'm going to come back and make the outlines thicker, as I always say. So turn it so it's in a good way for my hand. And I'm just going to go over the outlines a little bit, just to make sure that it reads well. Now, what happens here on the inside, and this is also how you can suggest that it's beveled, is if I'm looking at this, because I'm looking at that sort of angle, so this is the human eye, then what I see here is I see this point, so this ellipse I see well, but this one I sort of don't see the inside of it because this blocks it. So I have point A and point B. So point A is an ellipse that goes here, and point B is the ellipse that goes a bit inner. So we have the outer ellipse here, as you can see. And let me also draw the inner ellipse, which would be somewhere there. Now, if I do this here, this will be my outer ellipse, right? See, and I'm not going to finish it on the other side, but I'm going to switch to this inner ellipse that I meant. There we go. So this already gives you a good impression that there is sort of a change in shape here. And what you can do, you can also go a little bit cross-hatching here. Just add these little suggestive icons. And then obviously you can go and just finish up this rim and then make it fancy if you want to. But the main thing is, let me do it a little bit faster. If I have this wheel, close it up, and then I have the rim here, I make sure that this outer part is always stronger. I don't draw this if possible, and then I give a little bit of extra pep to that inner part. And this already gives you sort of a suggestion, but if you want it to feel really rounded, like this, so this takes away because this gives you an edge. That's why here it feels much more rounded. Then obviously if you want to emphasize that a little bit, you can come in with a marker and talk about where the light hits and where there's shadow. So down here, usually here there is no light, so I can add shadow to the wheel at that point, and at the same, this area doesn't get any light. So if you add some shadows, these points, then also let's add a little bit here, maybe a little bit there. This also helps you, let me show you with the marker. So basically we have light hitting here and we have light hitting there, right? So everything outside of that area is in shadow. And now what I'm doing, this is basically also sort of an approach that I have. So let me draw another wheel. There we go. Let me close it here, there, and then let's make this a little bit thicker. You can also make the outline a little bit thicker. Make sure darken it there and there. All right. So now what I'm going to do, so I'm going to combine what I learned here. So I'm going to give it a little bit of crosshatch here and then a little bit of crosshatch there. That suggests this form for me. And then I'm just going to, you can do the section lines. People always talk about section lines because they really help. So if you do these section lines, it's quite clear that this shape is looking like this from the side. One more thing that I like to do when I draw cars. So let's say this is my car and then this would be where my wheel is. 1, 2, close it off. Oof, oh, I was outside the camera there, I'm sorry. And then make room for the rim somewhere here. And then obviously the rim goes a little bit inside. And then you can play around, have some fun. Do the same cross-hatching. So this is also a little bit of, well, I don't know if it's ambient occlusion, but if it goes away from the eye, then you see less of it. See, now it looks quite nice. And what you can do is, so add one line like this and then just slowly fade it out. And you do the same into the other direction, slowly fade it out. One thing that you have to pay attention to is that these shapes are going to change direction. It's because let me explain this here. So we have this here. I'm just going to give it top here and just make it like this. So if we look at it like this, let me draw all of these, okay? You can see that these are all a little bit bent, so they're nice, but the one that is perpendicular to the eye, or almost with, not perpendicular, but this aligns sort of with the direction that we are looking from. And then you just see a line there. And this will also happen if you have something like a donut. So these two are, yeah, in this case perpendicular to where we look it from, but the ones that align will be just lines. And then everything that comes here at the point of the line, you have to change direction and go there. Same here. You go like this, you get close to the line and get straight, and then you change direction again. And then this gives you this nice shape. And obviously here less light hits, and that's why I do this cross-hatching here. And that's what I do here as well, basically. You don't always want to put in this many lines, but for you to understand how this works, that's why I said it. So yeah, this is how I draw tires. Let me draw one more. Let's put in a little bit more detail and patience for this one. Here, I'm going to put it into a square to combine what we learned in the previous main lesson with this one. So divide it. The ellipse fits somewhere here. Let me also do the black back part of the rectangle because I forgot that. There we go. That's where the circle fits in. This is a nice and thick. Maybe this is a monster truck wheel. There we go. And now we also have the inner part of the wheel. I'm not gonna draw the back side of it because it's not so necessary. But then let's say we have, and think of these, something that maybe I should have mentioned, is think of these as discs as well. And these discs are slightly removed from each other. So we have one disc and then another disc is a little bit deeper, and then another disc could be deeper as well. So it could look something like this. And then when there's no light hitting it, then you can add the, what's this called? Cross-hatching. Now, coming back to this final wheel here, I'm going to add a little bit of inside area like this, and then a pop-out area which comes a little bit higher. There we go. Now I'm going in with my marker. There we go. Nice, really thick wheel. Make sure that on this side, oh sorry, I touched the camera with my glasses. So on this side we have it nice and thick. Then we go in here. Then cross-hatching gets thicker and thicker and darker and darker. Then I can add the rim. Then I can add holes here. It really depends. I really recommend looking at reference, especially if you're not familiar, because I also am not familiar and I'm just totally making it up. Now, something like this should look like. So already I see, I gave it a little bit of roundness here and there as well, so that already helps. Now I'll make sure to give it a little bit of fade here as well, so where it touches the ground, less light hits, you have more ambient occlusion there. I can also do this, and I'm going to add just lightly, because obviously we don't have lines in nature, but we can suggest things with lines. There we go. And then I'm also going to go in with, let's say, a darker gray, I think, I hope. This is darker gray, yes. I'm going to say, okay, so this is in shadow here, and then that shadow comes up until here, let's say, and I go also on this side. There we go. And I can say, and there's a little shadow here because the sun doesn't go there. And then we can just add a bit of this there. Make sure to close up your wheel just like this. And this is how you make sure to convey that you have a beveled wheel. That's it for this week. I hope you enjoyed this little unedited, more raw video. I'll gladly do stuff like this if you have questions and if I have the time, of course. Feel free to hit that like button if you feel that this helped you out. You can also subscribe for more content like this. I like explaining stuff. You can also follow me on Instagram if you would like to see more drawing related weekly and daily updates. But as always, the most important thing is that you guys have a great week, and see you next time. Bye bye.